I'm gonna follow it up with this video. It's another red pill video. A YouTuber friend of mine sent it to me. He's like, "You got to watch this video, brother." He didn't call me brother. I call people brother. Call me boss. But he asked me to watch it. I'm gonna watch it. It's called "Perform Better Than 90% of Men in Bed: 3 Simple Tricks, Part 2. Wow. Okay. Why didn't he send me Part 1? Should I watch Part 1? Do I care enough about this to watch Part 1? Wait, there's no Part 1. Okay. Sorry, guys. There's no Part 1. I can't find it, so we're just going to start with Part 2. Let's go.
This will either make her super horny and she'll come straight away, or this...
I think I need to find Part 1. Okay. Why? How come these simple tricks require 3 parts? Okay.
Before we
here's part 1, guys.
get into this video, Mum, Dad, I know you like to watch the videos, but if you're watching right now, just turn it off. This one isn't for you. I don't want you to get in any ideas and going and doing any freaky stuff. Now, for the rest of you,
but okay.
These are 3 simple tricks you can use, which I genuinely believe will make a girl feel like you're better than 90% of men in bed, because it's just the simple stuff that guys forget, and it served me very, very well. This isn't the...
I'm assuming we're going to talk about like attentiveness with your partner, communication with your partner, see what they do and don't like, the potential of like bringing in outside resources, if you know what I'm saying. I'm assuming that's what we're going to talk about.
This isn't the complex stuff. This isn't about total domination in the bedroom. That stuff, I just feel I can't talk about it on YouTube. It just feels a little bit too vulgar for me. So this is as much...
Developing sexual confidence is actually a really powerful thing people that should do too. It's actually really interesting. When you first start having sex, I wasn't like the best. I think most people are. And I was in a relationship with somebody who wasn't super nice about it. So I actually went through a phase where like I couldn't really, perform at all for such a long time. And what got me to perform better, I know this is weird, but I got like a cock ring. I know that sounds silly. And I put it on at once, and I felt like bigger, stronger, powerful. And I was able to perform a lot better. And after you develop that confidence, you can really start to engage in a better way. So like developing confidence is actually very, very important. It's something that you really need to do.
As I'm willing to explain about. And even this feels kind of difficult. If you wait until the end, boys, if you get to the end of the video, I'm going to tell you the forgotten rule of having sex with a woman. And once you know this, you're fucking a player, basically. You're back in the game. You're just going to perform way better than other guys. So let's start. Let's get into this. Number 1, the Finger Blast 3000.
Sorry, I got you in a minute. Okay. I thought we were gonna have a real conversation. I didn't think that we're gonna have this dumb fucking bullshit.
A lot of guys say that they have trouble with premature ejaculation, so just coming.
Okay, so if you are a person that has trouble with like finishing too quickly, my advice to you is a few things. The number 1 thing I wanted to tell you is that as you get older, you're going to get less sensitive. So the problem will, as time goes on, it will generally get better. So you won't have to worry, some of it is like when you're younger, you're more sensitive. It's more stimulating when you interact. So keep that in mind. That's number 1. Number 2, excuse me, I'm very burpy today. Practice alone. And maybe edge. For me, when you're looking at content, maybe take your time. Try to last like 30 minutes. I don't want to get so explicit, but I guess I have to. Consistently stroke. Get yourself close to finishing and learn to pull it back. When you're in the bedroom with a girl too, learn to pace yourself and not take it easy. Provide foreplay for her. Provide foreplay for yourself. It's common that like when you're doing it, in my experience, I will very quick. Like there's times where it's like sometimes I'll very quickly get to the point where I want to finish, so I will slow it down, and I will go like nice and smooth, and then like you'll kind of move through that feeling of wanting to finish, right? And eventually, like you'll be good, and you'll actually be able to last long. Pace yourself, right? Like sometimes it gets to it goes a little too far. I'll be with my wife, and like the other day, like I was gonna finish really quickly. I know you guys are laughing, but this is real. And I like slowed it down because I wanted to give my wife like I wanted to give her a real good time. I slowed it down, right? And all of a sudden, like I could, like a half an hour later, I couldn't really finish, and we're both ready to be done. Sometimes it goes a little too far, but there's my general advice if you're somebody that's if you're somebody who's so there you go.
Coming too quickly. Finger Blast 3000. It's a fantastic
Finger blast
counter
okay.
to the premature ejaculation.
Wow.
Because what you do,
any type of fingering is a counter to premature ejaculation, but okay.
take these fingers, Spidey-Man fingers, spin webs,
Okay.
Spidey-Man fingers. She's laying on her back, you're going in like that. You're stroking the walnut thing at the top, it's called G-spot. Yeah. After you stroked it for a bit, you do this. On it.
Okay.
Makes her come.
Some girls might like that. I think that maybe communication with your partner, that could hurt some people being a little too aggressive. Maybe one finger is good for some people. Maybe three is better. Maybe just communication with your partner.
It's good because if you're about to blow, you can pull out. You can go for Finger Blast 3000, make her come, go again.
Okay.
About to blow, come out, make her come, go again. She'll think you're a fucking hero. But so many guys, like, they feel like they're going to come, and then they just come. It's like, come on, bro. Bit of discipline, bit of respect.
You could have just said, like, pace yourself. Okay.
Let the girl have a go first.
Because, yeah, sometimes pulling out and maybe you're doing a little more foreplay could be the solution. Okay.
It's easy. You can't not understand that. It just goes in like that. You'll feel what I'm talking about when you're in there. The only intermediate part of it is that it can take some arm strength. If it's taking her a while to get off, you'll be like, fucking hell, my hand's going to come off in a minute. So you might need to practice. You need to just
Maybe you could just slow down. It won't be so bad.
Build some forearm strength, some finger strength. But apart from that, it's fucking easy. You should be able to do that. And just that one tip is going to put you miles ahead of the game. She's actually going to be having a good time. You're actually going to be able to make her come rather than being a fucking two-pump chump and just blowing in her after 2 seconds. So there you go. Number one, out the way. Finger Blast 3000. Oh, number two, let her ride. So
you could, okay.
Ditch the missionary for a bit, ditch the doggy, just let her ride. This isn't the riding when she's bent over and like you're going in and out. She's sat up on you. So it's fully in and she just sort of grinds and does what she wants. I don't know why this works, but I've just found if there's a girl who I struggle to make come, that seems to be the best way for her to get off. She can also like stimulate herself. You've got a free hand.
I guess that's a good advice. I like this one. You can grab her titties. I guess this is decent advice. This one isn't too bad.
You can stimulate her at the same time. You can grab her titties. You can grab her throat. It's just good fun. So you can lay there. You can just...
You could also grab her hips. Let's not rule everything out. Okay, some guys need to understand this, but grabbing a woman's hips, especially in the right way, is very sexy to a lot of women. Very, very, very sexy to a lot of women. So, like, don't forget about the hips, Especially, like, kind of like, sometimes, like, just kind of, this is my experience. Using your hand on a woman and, like, running up and down their figure will be very stimulating for your partner, for mostly like a woman partner. I don't think it's as stimulating for a man. Like I'll give you like a little. I'm not good at drawing, but let's say you got kind of like this. She's on top, right? And she's I like the thick women, so like they're on top. Sorry if it's like a little boom. She's got your legs on top, and she's got some big boobies. Let's give her some big titties, by the way. A little bit more. I want to make them a little more like, a little bit more like enriched. We'll say it. Right? So like, I'm not too good at drawing, right? So running your hand like even from the breast down like to the hip area and back up again. That could be very stimulating. So keep that one in mind. Okay. All right. Just
no energy used, hands behind your head, just having a great time. She can get herself off on you. So It's a nice one. And it's not too intense.
The only problem is that like a woman will ride you for like 15 seconds and go, oh, I'm so tired. So just keep that in mind. Women are lazy. So
you're less likely to come from this. So you can just chill there, having a good time all day. She's
riding you. For me, I'm more likely to come from that.
Bang, and then you go back into it. Now,
but okay.
This is how I would So you've got those two now. This is how I'd recommend you finish. Doggy plus the magic hand. So doggy plus the magic hand is traditional doggy. Reach one hand round, grab the throat. The other hand goes round in between the legs on the clit.
Damn, that's a lot of movement. I don't know if my dick's big enough for me to do that. Maybe it's just I'm too fat. I don't know. Okay, I guess you could do this.
So you're pumping, you've got the throat, the hand in here, the magic hand, and you're just going to give away more stimulation, basically. You have one hand on the clit. This is like an intermediate level trick because you've got to have a bit of balance. It can get difficult at times. If she's been around the block, she's probably seen it, but she might not have seen it if she hasn't been around the block. So hand on the throat, boys. Traditional doggy. This hand reaches round between the legs, stimulates the clit, try and get her to come that way. It's a good way to finish as well. I'm a fan of the doggy particularly. Okay. And then the forgotten rule.
Fan of the doggy. Wait, what's the forgotten rule?
If you're thinking as well, I'm a fan of the doggy.
Wait, what's the forgotten rule?
Particularly.
Most of this video is just an advocation for some workout.
And then the forgotten rule.
Why is it important? How will it change?
Boys, if you're thinking, Jack, I've got no problem with positions. The problem is I don't look the part. Girls don't get turned on for me. I can't get horny or I have a low libido. You might have low testosterone. I had the same problem. I created a triple your testosterone course, which I've put in the link below. Use code GORILLA5 for money off and to
a testosterone course. Wow. Can I tell you one thing? I'm going to tell you one thing about this. First of all, shut up with testosterone bullshit.
I can't get.
I'm going to guarantee you right now. Could be wrong. But I'm going to guarantee you right now. And this is a problem I see with a lot of people who work out. They'll give you a really bullshit training program that and I could be wrong, but it doesn't do a goddamn thing. This is the biggest problem with training programs that I've noticed from people that I've talked to. This is what they'll tell you. Say, hey, bro, here's what you should do for your bench, right? I want you to bench for 4 sets of 12. Then afterwards, I want you to do incline bench for 4 sets of 12. Then you should do decline bench for 4 sets of 12. Then you should do some chest flies for like 4 sets of 12. Or they'll usually say like 8 to 12 for a lot of these, right? They'll say like 8 to 12. Right, then maybe, and then they'll give you next day, you'll do like your arm day, and they'll give you a typical bro split. This is not a routine. I want you guys to understand this. This is numbers. This isn't a fucking routine. And it really infuriates me. There's a lot of considerations to make. If you're new to lifting, 5x5 strong lifts, go read the books, learn how to perform, learn how to execute technique better. Mark Ripto's like 5x5 is incredible. Starting strength, go look into that. Because you need to learn how to properly execute movements before you can actually start to push weight on particular movements. If you are going to, and you should do compound movements, they're really good, they're really healthy for your body, and they actually contribute a lot to like physical like healthiness and your ability to like posture, etc. If you're going to perform these movements, you need to learn to perform them first without getting hurt. The bench is surprisingly more technical than you would think it is. There's your squat, you have your rows, you have your overhead press. These things are more technical than you expect them to be. You might, so you're going to want to do that first. You have to learn that first. And you should probably go on a routine that's going to have you go to the gym more often or work out all your muscle groups more often with less intensity while you develop the technique and develop a little bit of strength and size. After that, once you get to like an intermediate program, this isn't a program. What is this? So, bench 4 sets of 12. What's the weight that you should do? You feel it out. You should never be feeling it out unless you are in like the expert level of bodybuilding specifically. Only bodybuilders will benefit from like feeling it out, and you really have to have very good mind-muscle connection in order to do that properly. For the most part, you need a routine that has progressive overload, and it has the ability for you to take like regulated breaks. That's where like routines need to have safe progression. Every single one of them, even bodybuilding routines in like the beginning and intermediate level. So you wouldn't say 4 sets of 8 to 12. What you would do for a bodybuilding routine, you'd be like, okay, well, when you come in, maybe you do like you start with like 100 pounds for 4 sets of 8 to 12, and then if you can't get 8, then you would leave it, something like that. There has to be some kind of progressive overload. There has to be some kind of like back off work. It needs to be a little bit more intelligent than just like letters and numbers. This doesn't mean anything to anybody. You're not going to be able to get progression. You need to slowly track. You need to slowly increase your weight that you're doing, or else you're not going to see results. If you can bench 100 pounds, somebody who can bench 150 pounds for 4 sets of 8 is going to be stronger and bigger than somebody who can bench 100 pounds for 4 sets of 8. So you obviously want to increase the weight that you're doing. You might want to perform your bench a little differently. You might want to take it down to your nipple level rather than to under your breast. Under your breast is more of like a powerlifting style bench. But either way, if you want to perform more powerlifting style bench, it'll still contribute to chest strength, but you're probably going to get a little more triceps out of it, right? So these are all the things that a lot of these people do that they don't know what the fuck they're talking about, and they just tell young impressionable people that they should like work out, but they don't give you a fucking routine. And I could be wrong. about this. Maybe he has a really good in-depth training program, but $100 for it, go. This is what you want to do. Here's a good resource. Starting Strength. This is a fantastic resource if you want to like learn how to work out. Wendler 531. This is another fantastic intermediate, but you can do it at beginner. You're just going to start lower. Buy the book. It's $10 ebook. Really buy the book. This is a really good one. Mad Cows. 5x5. That's moving on from like a traditional 5x5. These are the things that you should work on. Yes, even if you want to bodybuild. Just letting you guys know. Like, I feel like a lot of the information and the resources out there about how you should get bigger and stronger are from people who don't know how the fuck to train other people. A lot of them usually will just take a lot of fucking, like, they'll take PEDs before they're even ready to take PEDs. They don't do it safely. They don't do it effectively. And they end up dying young. They don't know how to fucking train people. So, sorry. Just wanted to, I know I went on a little bit of a rant. We're going to watch part 2, but that's just something to keep into consideration, okay?
This is going to make her be like, ugh, get off me. So
okay, let's do
this will either make her super horny and she'll come straight away, or this is going to make her be like, ugh, get off me. So
X-rated pro tip.
It's a risky one, but I'll tell you anyway. As always, if you're watching this and you're my mother, my father, or any member of my...
I wonder if that last video...
Before we get...
After the bullshit cell. Oh, he actually had more after the bullshit cell. I didn't know that. I thought it was the end of the video and it was just a big credit roll.
The forgotten rule of sex, boys, is she comes first, then you're allowed to come.
All right.
Now, I understand we've all had times where we've gotten a bit excited and
I tend to agree with that. Only because, like, women can usually keep going after they finish and men can't.
We've been a 2-pump chump.
What do you do after 5x5? You'll be running 5x5 for 3 to 6 months. For you specifically. There's 100 different ways that you can go after you run like 5x5 strong lifts. Usually you can go to Mad Cows or you can do something like Wendler 531. Those are 2 really good resources. But
I've actually never been a 2-pump chump. I've been more like a 10-pump chump, but at the absolute max. The absolute like minimum is 10 pumps. But we've all been like, we've come quickly before. Just takes a bit of self...
I'll tell you one thing though. One of the hottest things my wife does for me is sometimes when we sleep together, I don't make her come. I know that sounds so weird. Some of you guys are like, what? Sometimes it's like we'll have very me-centric sex, and that's very sometimes like it's very hot. I'll tell you one of like the sexy things about my wife is that like we don't like there are times where we have me-centric sex, her-centric sex. The two of us will have like more like mutual sex. We'll have more like loving. We'll have more aggressive. It's really good. It's really good to like switch it up, and I love all the different types that we have. Like when we have it just for me, I love that, but I also love it when it's more her focused too, because it's just different. And we each like, it's different every time. It's one of the, and this is maybe more like some advice to like women, but men too, but just like, you know, it's be attentive to your partner, you know.
Self-control. The forgotten rule is she comes first.
If you don't want this information, you could skip over this segment, brother. I understand it's a little more mature or it's a little more X-rated, but I'm, you know, it is what it is.
Then you can come.
Like I said, remember, I have half my audience is like young men. Half my audience is like older women. So, you know.
How do you know if she's come or not? Well,
It's a clash of the two contents here.
usually they'll be shaking and screaming all types of crazy things and scratching you and stuff. It's a pretty good way to tell. If you can't tell her she's come, she hasn't come. All right? So that's a good one to keep in your head. If you're thinking, oh, did she come or not? She hasn't come. If she's come, you'll fucking know about it because you have to tell her to be quiet because she's gonna wake your mum up. Because most of you are probably doing it at home with your parents in. And she's going, shut up.
Yep, my mom watches me have sex with my wife.
Wait, my mum. Ah! But yeah, boys, that's the forgotten rule. Remember it, and you'll be better than 90% of men in bed. Just by using those 3 tips. Very, very simple. No need to overcomplicate it. There's some wisdom from your local gorilla for the day. I hope you've enjoyed it.
This
Mum and
wasn't
Dad,
too
if you
bad.
make it to the end of this video, I'm pissed off, all right? I told you not to watch it. See you on the next.
I don't think that they watched this. But that video wasn't that bad. I mean, it was like a little silly. But okay, let's see what the second one is.
Immediate family. Please don't watch this video because it isn't for you. It's for the other people. That's for the rest of you. Let's get into this. First, one you might not have thought about and not many guys do.
Okay.
Use a lube.
Yeah, again, so some of these rules, the only problem I have with some of them is that like these rules require communication with your partner. So like he was saying before, use the Finger Blaster 3000, whatever that was. Like I was saying, I was like, hey, if you're going to do something like that, pace yourself, talk to your partner about what they like. If you go too aggressive, you could hurt them, and it's going to ruin the experience. That's pretty much what I'm talking about. Here's another one. Not all women like or need lube, okay? Not all women like or need a bullet. The introduction of outside resources can be very beneficial. Communicate with your partner.
And what's lube, you might ask? Well, lube's what makes it
Who's asking what lube is? Who doesn't know?
slippery. So some girls, they'll be super, super wet, which is amazing. You won't need lube with them. Some girls maybe not as wet. Maybe they're not so wet today. And that's all right. Either way's fine because it's
Yeah, some girls have a problem with like producing their own moisture. Some girls require foreplay. You could try foreplay as well. That probably would have been like the number one thing that people could go with, but okay.
as long as you've got a bit of lube, you'll be fine either way. And there's also some lubes you can get that make the experience more fun. So you can get some that add like tingling sensations or have a scent or a smell or some sort of taste to them. So it can really make the experience quite fun. So I recommend every guy, like it's a bit of a rookie error if a girl comes around to your house or you sleep with a girl and you don't have any lube. I think most girls would be thinking, wow, has he pumped before? Because most
I don't think that most women would think about that. If anything, women might be a little put off at the fact that you have could you imagine pulling out a half-used bottle of lube to use on some girl? Like, this guy doesn't really know what he's talking about in this instance, because they're gonna go like, what the fuck? How many girls are you fucking? Girls aren't like, I can't wait to fuck the guy that fucks 10 girls. Be careful about that. Okay, that might come off as like it might actually cause them to have the opposite impact. Just so you know.
guys, if you're a bit of a player, you know you've got a stash, you know you've got some lube hanging around. So, number one, get some lube. And then you might ask, what's a bullet? A bullet's like one of these little vibrators. They're about this big.
Yeah.
I'm in a hotel at the moment, so I don't know.
Again, this is another really big issue. Men, I want you guys to really understand this. Do not buy sex toys. Do not buy sex toys for women. Or excuse me, do not buy sex toys to own for yourself to use on the women you sleep with. Do not do that. Okay? If a woman goes over your house and you have a bullet, the first question she's going to have in her head is, how many other girls has she used this sex toy on? Okay? That will be the most uncomfortable, weird fucking thing to ever happen. Never do that. You can invite your girl to bring over her sex toy, right? If you're sleeping with like 3 women, you know, sometimes you got to get it out. You can buy her a sex toy for her, but don't buy one to have at the house to cycle through 3 different people. Even if you clean it and it's perfectly clean, they're still not going to like that. Okay? Please take some of this advice with a grain of salt.
I don't have access to my bullet. Rookie move, should have bought one with me. But a bullet is like a little...
See, look at this.
I'm in a hotel at the moment, so I don't have access to my bullet.
Oh, okay.
Rookie move, should have bought one with me.
Yeah,
but a bullet is like a little vibrator. It's like that big.
You shouldn't buy
You
one.
whip one of these out at home when a girl comes over, and I would recommend you give it to her. So when you're penetrating
there,
her, she can use it to stimulate her.
No, I thought he meant give it to her as like have her own it. Wait, what?
Clitoris. And she can get off that way. And it's quite an interesting, fun thing to use. You can have some fun with it. Various different things you could do with a bullet. But I think it also just gives the impression like she'll be thinking in her head, this guy's just pulled out a fucking bullet and lube. I'm with a player here. And I don't think that's a good thing. I think girls secretly, they want to be with a bit of a player, someone who knows what they're doing. So
girls do like a guy that knows what they're doing, and girls like to be with a guy that they feel is like a little bit mysterious, because women have this idea in their head that they can change men. And sometimes you're right, actually. My wife changed me, but don't pull out a fucking lube or a bullet, okay, on your first shot. It's weird.
There you go, boys. There's your first 2 tips.
Yeah, the communal vibrator.
It's
Sorry,
very valuable. If you don't have either of these, get them sorted. It's very cheap. You don't have to do anything. It's just a couple of things you have to buy, and you're sorted. Especially if you've got a girlfriend you've never done this. Might bring something back to the bedroom. Yeah. But swiftly moving on. Number 2. This is.
I think if you're using this guy to get relationship advice, your relationship's over, bud.
Something that comes down to your personality. You've got to build that confidence, and also.
Yes, that was number 1. Building confidence should have been number 1 on the list. You're out of order here, sir. This is number 2 on the second part of the list. Okay, so far you said 3 simple tricks. This should have been the trick number 1. Should have been build confidence.
Silent. If your girlfriend's silent, what are you thinking? You're thinking, well, maybe I'm not doing this right. You're thinking like, oh, she's not having a good time. Now, girls, they actually think the same thing. I've spoken to a lot of girls that have told me if the boy's silent, they don't like it. They've sat there and they're getting fucked by some guy and he's making no noise at all. Now, I'm not saying
you don't have to forcefully make noise. Just be yourself. That's weird. You know, my wife likes it when I make a little noise, but I don't make performative noises. I think that's bizarre. And I think a lot of women don't like guys who make too much noise. It's more acceptable for a woman to make noise in like a very intense way than it is for a guy. If you're like, it's not, they're not going to be into that. I'm just letting you know. Some of them might, but I'm just letting you know. You don't need to make noise. Confidence is good. Yeah, you snort. I'm drowning in my saliva. Don't do that. Okay, don't do that.
And you should be moaning, screaming your head off. You can do if you want, but I would recommend just a little bit of a nice in between, a little bit of dirty talk, telling her off, sort of make.
Yeah, give her some dirty talk. You have to. This is what you got to do when you're fucking the girl. You're gonna have to say, "Whose pussy is this?" And then and then you say, you have to tell them to say, "This is daddy's pussy," and you fucking smack their tits around a little bit. That's what you need to do. All right, get a little raunchy with them, okay?
Making some noises, telling her how wet her pussy is, that sort of stuff. Yo, your pussy's so wet and tight, you're absolutely fantastic. Stuff like that. It's going to get you a long way. But you don't want to be silent,
You go wooga, yeah, just like from a cartoon.
boys. And the key to confidence, I find, is you've got to be happy with your clothes off. So if you're not in great shape, boys,
Sure.
get in great shape. If you want to get in shape with me, I've done a triple your testosterone course. So you can get all that fucking testosterone
It's not gonna work.
coursing through your veins and then get in great shape. There's like 4 programs included with the course. So if you boys want to do that and join the tribe and the community, it's all in the link in the comments and in the description. Little side note to that. When I boosted my testosterone, I had a very weird side effect that was women wanted to smell me more, even my body odor. They were attracted to my body odor, like the increased testosterone was releasing some sort of pheromones, and the women I was sleeping with at the time wanted to smell my armpits directly, and it was
That's possible. I mean, my wife likes to smell my armpits, so what he's saying may be a little true. So, but the best way to increase your testosterone is just working out. You, especially if you're young, in general, you shouldn't go on performance-enhancing drugs. You don't need to take an oral supplement to increase your testosterone. It's probably not a good thing. You're really probably not a good thing to do that. It might have like negative impacts on like your body, like your kidneys specifically. Really be careful about taking some kind of like oral anything. Working out increases your testosterone. I'm just letting you know naturally. It is a natural producer of increased testosterone. That's a really good way to go. If you have such low testosterone that like it's having a negative impact on you, you're getting like, bitch tits or whatever, go to a doctor, try to get supplemental testosterone, which means you're going to have to get like a needle and you're going to have to like inject it into your skin, which is not as bad as it sounds. You get very used to it very quickly, so don't freak out about that. You don't have to put it into your bloodstream. That's not good for you. You put it into like the layer of your fat, usually like in your leg or something. Right, so these are good ways to increase your testosterone. Well, if you need to get medically, but other than that, like go to the gym, working out, heavy lifting.
very strange. So just a little
Get a good amount of sleep. Yeah, get good sleep. Don't go on. You don't need to go on test.
warning there that you could have that happen, just to let you know. But that is another great tip, boys. It's going to help you a lot. It's just going to put you miles ahead of the game. If you're confident, you've got that aura around you, you know what you're doing, you're leading the situation, you're not scared, you're not turning the lights off, you're not scared to take your clothes off, you're in great shape, and you're making a bit of noise and you're getting into it. Now, map a routine. What do I mean by that?
Wait, what is map a routine?
In your head, what I don't want you boys doing is just getting into bed with a girl and going missionary, like 5 minutes missionary, fucking cum everywhere. Nightmare, not what we want. So in your head you need to have some self-control, and what I do is set out a routine, like, okay, we do missionary, I'm going to do that for 3 or 4 minutes, then I'm going to hit doggy style, then I'm going to hit her on top, then I'm going to take it over to another part of the room and do her standing up, and then I'm going to pick her up and put her against the wall, bang, back to the bed, then I can come. That way you're adding in some story, you're adding in some excitement, you're making sure it isn't just fucking getting on.
I mean, I guess you could do that. I don't think this is advice. This one is just like he likes to fuck girls in different positions in bed. That's like a preference thing. It's like preferential. Okay, whatever.
The bed being a 2-pump chump, right, which we talked about in the last video. So have a routine. That's what I mean by map out a routine in your head. I don't mean like have a routine for when you have sex. I mean in your head, think about a certain amount of moves you're going to do before you come.
100 strokes. Then we're going to move on to doggy style. 37 strokes. That's a kill position for me. Can't give it too much.
Because that's going to allow you to actually last longer, and you know you can't finish until you've completed that. It's going to make it a lot more interesting. It's going to have her raving to her friends. Sometimes, as I've said here, boring sex is okay. Every now and again, you just got to go.
That's true.
But
sometimes boring sex is okay. I agree with that. Sometimes like it doesn't have to be that big of an event, but you want to find somebody that even when you have like boring sex, it's still really fun sex. Like even like because like there's times where I've been with women before where like when we have good sex, it's like, oh, this is good. I feel good. But when we have bad sex, it's like, oh my God, I'm like bored. I'm like actually bored. You know, with my wife, even the more boring sex isn't boring. You know what I mean? It's just not like, as intense, I guess.
Every now and again, you want to get in the game.
Punch her?
Change location. It's another huge one. This is a panty wetter, boys. I mean, girls, they might not tell you, but they want to be fucked in different locations. So.
Yep. Okay. Like in what way? Like,
so could take her out in the car if you've got window tints.
Oh, some girls like that, sure. Some girls don't like that.
it in the back seat. Go into the forest and do it.
I'm gonna let you. Okay, I'm gonna let you guys in on something. Okay.
Different locations. So could take her out in the car. If you've got window tints, do it in the back seat.
Okay, hold on. I need you guys to understand that this is gonna be probably the most important part of the video, like what my commentary is on, and that is that you need to talk to your partner about this, because there are a lot of instances where a guy will say, let's fuck here, and the girl will do it because she likes you, but she won't be comfortable. Generally speaking, there's a power dynamic that favors men. It doesn't mean that you're having abusive sex because you have sex with a girl where she doesn't necessarily want it, because just because she may not want to do it in the car doesn't mean she doesn't consent to doing it in the car, right? But a lot of girls, and you'll find this out later, aren't a huge fan of it. I used to sleep with my wife in the car a lot when we were first dating. Later on, she's like, yeah, didn't really like doing it too much. Oh, okay. It's like it was uncomfortable. It made me wonder, like, who else you slept with in your car. You know, and hey, listen, she might love to do it in the car. Communication. Communication. You know, have communication with your partner, because some women might love it in the forest. Some women might not love it in the forest. You know, make sure you don't put a girl in a space where she's going to be like, all right, well, I'll do this with this guy because he seems to like it. And then she'll be like, yeah, I like this. And she'll pretend to like love it. And I'm not, again, you're not assaulting her just because she consents to something that she doesn't necessarily want to do. That's another thing that we have to like get out of our heads. Like there's times where like, you know, a girl might not want to like, she might be like, oh, I don't want to suck his dick, but she'll suck your dick essentially, but she's like not, in the, you know, no mood for it. Doesn't mean it's not consensual as long as you're not forcing her to do it. But it's good to have communication with people. It's good to have communication with people, okay? Yeah, in her parents' bed while they're sleeping. That makes girls horny as fuck. Bro, play the video.
Go into the forest and do it. Go into toilets at restaurants, the disabled toilet, and do it.
The disabled toilet, okay. I guess because he's going to put her in the hospital with that dick.
I'm pretty sure that's what the disabled toilet's for.
Yeah,
do it at the cinema in the toilet. Try not to get caught. Girls love this kind of excitement.
Some
take
of them
the risks, boys, and change location. Now, this tip I shouldn't even really be...
Or you could change location by bringing her on vacation, too.
Giving on the internet. I'm a little bit uncomfortable about giving this tip. This will either make her super horny and she'll come straight away.
Okay, you better not. Wait, is this the... Okay.
Or this is going to make her be like, oh, get off me. So, it's a risky one. But I'll tell you anyway, it can pay off. Every time I've used it, just to let you know, every time I've used it, it's paid off. It's always paid off, because I think secretly most girls want this, but you've got to be sort of having sex and it be very horny so far. You can't just be doing this at the start. But it would be, this tip is the finger in the ass, or the thumb in the ass. So thumb in the ass when you're doing doggy.
Yeah, you might want to ask her about that as well.
Finger in the ass when she's riding on top. This, every time I've done it, it makes girls come. Like, they start going fucking wild for it. They think it's naughty. It's a bit dirty, obviously, and they...
I'm a little surprised that there's been no mention of eating a girl's pussy in this. Like, there's been zero mention of eating a girl out. I waited for the end of both videos to, like, bring this up, but not a single time that he mentioned, like, eat a girl's pussy. Like, I was like, oh, he's got to mention it. He's got to mention it. He could have mentioned it before. He could have been like, hey, pace yourself and, like, maybe pull out and go back into foreplay. But he didn't even mention, like, doing foreplay, right? Am I wrong? You didn't even mention doing foreplay. And he's just like, yeah, finger blaster. But you want to know why he probably didn't mention it? Because he's engaging in casual sex. And this is rule number 1. You only eat your own girl's pussy. Number 1, you never eat some fucking hoe who will sleep with you on the first date's pussy. Like, you don't do that shit. All right? You don't deserve it. You don't deserve that shit. Listen, I don't eat girls out that, well, when I was fucking around, I never would eat a girl out that I wasn't, like, dating. So maybe he eats ass. Yeah, that's who I don't eat a girl's ass unless I'm, like, dating them. So
love it. But if you do it to the wrong girl, maybe she isn't going to be comfortable with that. So just make sure she's comfortable with everything. Same with all of these tips. Make sure everything's consensual and make sure everybody's having a good time. But there you go, boys. That's my tips. Use them at your own risk. But I hope to make each and every one of you slightly better in bed. If you want to join the course?
Okay. Listen, this series of videos wasn't that bad. It really wasn't as bad as I thought that it was going to be. It could have been a little better. There could have been a little bit more communication conversation, but it really wasn't that bad. It was just kind of silly. So, That finger, I'm gonna have to try that Finger Blaster 5000. Thank you so much for watching, guys, and another special shout out to all my Patreon and Twitch subs. If you'd like to support this channel further than you already have by just watching the video alone, go down to the links below where you can sub on my Patreon, which will allow you to get your name on this beautiful black wall. Or you can go to the Twitch page and you can actually use a free Amazon Prime sub, if you have Amazon Prime, to subscribe. Thank you very much, guys. Take care.